don't get me wrong, there are moments when leaders need to be strong in front of people, but that doesn't mean that you're strong constantly. It can be that just before you step on stage, you feel still insecure and you feel that you cannot do it. But then you need to learn how to pick yourself up from that moment and prepare for those moments when you need to be strong. But of course, then I've been leading different cultures from the three different continents, even Indian people, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepalese, all those. So I've seen that. So the example of martial arts when Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came, so it was like early 90s when it became very popular, and you had these mixed martial arts tournaments, and suddenly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu won everything. So we were thinking, or maybe I as a fan as well, that hey, maybe boxing or kickboxing is strong or something. So we kind of had that maybe Karate Kid way of seeing that the stand-up fighting was the really great, and they look strong and good, and then if you were fighting somebody, it felt bad that, oh, if they're good in stand-up fighting, so you'll win. And then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came, and one of my good friends, so he was living in Brazil for 1 year, and then we were training together, and he beat me every time. When I could kind of punch him in the face, but then we went to the ground and he won me, and I was like, why is this happening? And it was kind of felt unfair that I've been training harder, I was better, but I lost. I felt that way. To me, the AI is the same, that we're in the situation that all the kind of old traditional way of leading businesses and what we have understood are now changing. Sisu is a Finnish word. It's about a lot about resilience. It basically comes from the war times, the Second World War, when Finland was fighting against Soviet Union. So those kind of moments where it's minus 30 degrees outside, you are on your skis, the opponent is super strong, but you still like just push through. And the difference between Sisu and resilience in a way is that it still can be gentle, so you can still have emotions, so it's not just pushing through hard rocks, but it's kind of at the same time understanding the situation and being honest, but still deciding to do that.
Anything that comes to mind where, kind of this thought process or this helped you get through, or maybe you didn't know the term then, but you got through nonetheless?
Yeah, but I mean, many times, we tend to, and I as well, tend to worry about the outcome a lot. So when we are making a hard decision, so let's say I use this as an example when I have had the hard situation of laying off people, for instance. So when I'm in that moment, so it could be dealt with, which I did in the beginning, was that, okay, it's best for the company, let's do it that way and then see what happens. And then I went to kind of nowadays when I've lately done that, so I've been thinking, okay, I have this person who's losing the job, so I'm actually doubting myself before the decision, that is this the right call?
Hello, book nerds. Welcome to the Booknerds Podcast. I had a very enriching conversation with Aslak de Silva today, who is an author, a leadership expert, and he has been practicing martial arts. He has been a world champion. So he has written this book called The Black Belt in Leadership, and 20 tested lessons from the dojo to the boardroom. A very interesting take on how we can improve leadership skills with the use of learnings from martial arts. He was born in Finland, and we talked about a bunch of things. His perspective on AI, what's happening right now, how leadership skills can be improved using his learnings from martial arts. We discussed some Finnish concepts as well, like Sisu and much more. So this conversation was totally new for me in the space of leadership, because I have always thought that leadership is about following a certain kind of mindset, a very you have to be very strong headed and kind of perfect all the time. But this has changed my view, because martial arts brings in zen to the entire concept of leadership. So yeah, watch the conversation. Do let us know in the comments how you liked it, and do drop a comment and read the book. Let us know how you loved it, or something that could be improved. Yeah, watch on, and happy reading. Hello, book nerds. Welcome to the Booknerds Podcast. As you see right at the back, there are a couple of books which I've been reading, throughout this week. It's called The Black Belt in Leadership. Uh, have a look. There are two variants. Of course, there's a paperback. Three variants, in fact: paperback, Kindle version, and a hardcover. So I always prefer reading from paperback. So I was reading that from that, but there's a hardcover as well. Right, the back. The author is with us, Aslak de Silva, who is who is the author and is a martial arts ex martial arts. Do you pursue it even now, or what's happening
But
there?
I mean, I train occasionally, but I'm not as I used to train. Let's put it that way. So
Okay, okay. Aslak is a black belt and he has written about leadership. So immediately when I got this book, I was like, what the hell is going on? Why are we connecting both these worlds? And those are the kind of questions I will have. But when I read the book, I really understood what's happening here because being someone who has always played racket sports growing up, I could understand what those moments mean in leadership as well. And now I'm an entrepreneur, and Aslak is also an entrepreneur, and he has been doing that for a while after his career ended, because of injuries. But when this happened, he had already fought in 100 odd, fights over a lot of competitions. Okay. Um, Aslak, first of all, this kind of comparison of these two completely, in some ways, completely different worlds, martial arts and leadership, being in that position of scrutiny, let's call it that. Um, where did this come together? Because you have been at both ends, you have been doing both these things. Where did you find the common ground?
yeah, thanks, thanks Rohan for having me here. And yeah, so to me, it was when I kind of ended my martial arts career. I was 27, and my CV was blank sheet of paper. So I was thinking, okay, that I had studied, I had a master's degree in international management, so I have kind of career ambitions there. But then I noticed that I can kind of start from the top. So the same way as in martial arts, you need to start from the bottom. So white belt, white CV, and then I kind of saw myself like applying the same principles. So when I started at entry level positions, so I had the same eagerness to learn. I was trying to kind of find a coach and just open up my eyes, go boldly there. So I noticed me doing the similar things as with martial arts. Then I got into leadership positions and I was super into it and training myself. So I was reading books, attending courses, different seminars, and hearing those talking about on stage. And I kind of, in the long run, I noticed that they're lacking something that kind of like I had learned already. And I'm not sure if it's more like talking about instincts or kind of how to learn and how what kind of mindset should you have. And then like I was writing the book for about 10 years in my notes, kind of thinking, putting it back on paper that this is different with martial arts, that this is lacking from leadership conversations. And then now just had a perfect time to kind of put everything together. And there came these 20 lessons. And I have to say that already after the book, so I have more lessons to come. So kind of, I think it's kind of a lifelong journey for me to write about those things. But I felt that there is some unique angles that if people saw those things, so it might actually help them to become better leaders. So that's why I then thought that, hey, let's write the book. I have a podcast around it as well, so that now it's time to kind of come to the world and try to help everybody who wants to become a better leader to kind of maybe bring a different angle than ever before.
Yeah. Usually, for most of us who are karate kid aficionados, and we just are obsessed. That's how we identify martial arts across the globe. But it's more about the inner journey as well, as I read in your book, and that was a revelation for me because we have seen in the movies and in popular culture that it's aggression. Also, it's some of it is inside, but in the book it was quite a revelation, and I wanted to know that how does that feel internally and externally, because when you are doing you are also in the business world, and you are pursuing something that you are so obsessed about, you're passionate about, fighting. How does one create that balance of zen and aggression in both spaces?
Mm. Yeah, I think one of the biggest difference and maybe even the core reasons for the book as well is that there's a huge difference between leaders and then martial artists. So if I were telling you, Rohan, that in 6 months you're gonna attend world championships in full contact fighting, so you would immediately start training. you would immediately start thinking, okay, what does that mean? You will start visioning how you should be in that moment, anything from your mental preparation to physical preparation. And when you were asking about that Zen situation, so you start immediately, are you in the first, you feel super happy about it, you might feel like proud that this is the moment, then you get to the doubts where you kind of start doubting yourself. No, I will never make that. Why did they choose me? Can I be good there? And you start dealing with these different kind of feelings and from both sides. So you are proud and maybe afraid at the same time. You want to do well, but then you feel that no, you cannot do that, and all these things. So these kind of contradictions start to happen when you're a fighter. And leaders, we tend to maybe pep talk ourselves that no, you can do that well, but we kind of don't admit those feelings that are disencouraging for us, maybe the doubts, and we are maybe taught more to that direction, that yeah, be vulnerable, but be strong. And that's to me, there's a huge difference in a way that how you will get that. And when you deal with, like, I explain also in the book, so kind of going for the world championship. So when I had that 6 months, so every morning I would go for a run and really push myself to the limit. So I was trying to run an uphill as fast as I could. And I was constantly asking myself there that if you want to be a world champion, you need to push harder. Can you do that? And in the beginning, I might have done it once or twice, but then I lost it. And then I felt like, oh, I'm so exhausted. I cannot push it anymore. There's so much pain. But I did that for 100 days in a row, just mentally prepare myself until I was kind of secure myself that basically in the end is that it doesn't matter if I win or lose. It's just that I am who I am. And then you find the Zen situation where you're kind of confident, but not overconfident with yourself. So it's not about even pep talk. It's more like that you're ready. And that's then the Zen, in my opinion, that you are ready with the best version of yourself at that day. And that's lacking from the leadership conversation a lot, how to deal with those insecurities during the path and prepare yourself for success.
Yeah. Leaders, I don't know about Europe, but and Finland, of course, but uh, Indians are always like kind of, we are taught to be very strong in every position. You have to show that, that we are alphas, and we don't want to show our vulnerabilities, right? It's very taxing as startup founders, or perhaps corporate leaders. um, but in your situation, when you are fighting, or you have been in that position, you were working with a vending machine, company, right? And you were doing all of that. Was it called Selfly, and what
Yeah,
that was the name?
yes, yeah.
So, have you been in those positions and kind of felt, oh my God, I'm trying to kind of, project something which I'm not, and I have to kind of revisit it. And has that happened to you?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, of course, don't get me wrong, there are moments when leaders need to be strong in front of people, but that doesn't mean that you're strong constantly. It can be that just before you step on stage, you feel still unsecure, and you feel that you cannot do it. But then you need to learn how to pick yourself up from that moment and prepare for those moments when you need to be strong. But of course, then I've been leading different cultures from the three different continents, even Indian people, Sri Lankan, Pakistan, Nepalese, all those. So I've seen that for them, for instance, it's harder to come to talk to a leader because there's the hierarchy there. My father's from Sri Lanka, so I've used that from the childhood as well. That kind of like that I understand that part. But that doesn't mean that you cannot be strong and gentle at the same time. So you can really care for the people and show appreciation, and that helps in a way to build the trust in the team, and so that everybody can voice out their concerns and they feel good in the team, so they are not afraid of the leader. So to me, there are these kind of nuances, of course, in a fight. So you try to win in a way that you're controlling the emotions there. So if you make your opponent afraid of you, so then it's of course going to be an easier fight. To me, then I when I've done that there, so I know how to do that. So for me, it was just to learn the opposite, so how not to make people afraid of me. So kind of like to understand that, and that helped me. And in the beginning, I was really bad at that, so I made people afraid of me. I was
Yeah.
used to that, but then I noticed that okay, that's the wrong way when you're leading people. So kind of understanding that part there. But so yeah, so of course, there are lots of moments where you self doubt, and when you face competitors and others. So it's not about just, again, like I said, pep talking yourself to be the best, but it's maybe being honest to yourself as well. That are we there? And then you still fight for the deals. You fight for the kind of being the best of your field. So there are kind of, again, nuances to understand that when to behave like what, and what do you need to show yourself off. So again, the full preparation makes you better, and you perform at your best at the situation when it's needed. Doesn't mean that you're constantly super strong or powerful looking and make people afraid of you, but there might be moments when you need to show that side of you as well. So kind of understanding those nuances is super important to me in leadership, I'd say. Yeah.
One of my favorite parts from the book was when you talked about the belt hierarchy, and you talked about the white belt and black belt. And I was reading it, and when I reached the black belt, in the book, you're like, it's almost the same. You feel the same. So it's that was very intriguing for me. What did you exactly mean by that? Because we as I have no clue about the hierarchy of belts, and but I know a little bit about the corporate structure and startup structure. But what do you exactly mean by that? The sameness between white and black belt.
Yeah. For somebody who hasn't trained martial arts, it's of course often difficult to understand that how on earth will that become the same. But in the
Yeah,
beginning, when you start as a white belt, so you understand that you're a beginner, and then of course you're learning new techniques, so you get more confidence and new techniques, and you understand that you are better than when you started. And then there comes moments when you maybe get overconfidence and believe that you're super good, and then you kind of understand that, well, maybe there are higher belts, so they are better. So it kind of goes back and forth all the time with the kind of confidence and understanding. And then you understand that, well, I don't actually know so well. There's a lot to learn. And the purpose of the black belt in many martial arts is basically that you know the technique. So you can perform the punches, the kicks, and all these submission different techniques. But then you also understand that that's still the start. So it's just like the surface of everything, and then you need to go inside, and then you might understand that, hey, I have to have this kind of a feeling with the punch. So for instance, I'm using as an example there in the book as well, that kind of like a relaxed punch is still better than a stiff one. So
yeah,
people kind of see the surface of a super strong punch and they feel that now that's strong, but actually it doesn't hit anybody. So the same way, then you start understanding that inside the surface there's lots to learn. And in a way, so when you get the black belt, you understand that now I have all these tools, but I need to learn how to use the tools.
yeah,
So this is the same with leadership, in my opinion, many times, is that we need experience, we need theory, we need to educate ourselves until we kind of come to the situation that I am the leader, I am a person, and I need to decide what to do. And that's then the moment of the kind of coming back to the white belt level, understanding that I'll start over. I start using these techniques, and then I get my own experiences and understand how can I use them technique. Many times when I've been teaching martial arts, still people come to me and say that, can you teach me one technique that works always? There is no such technique, because it's not a technique that works. It's more that your skill works. The same
right.
with leadership. There's no single theory that's better than anything else,
Mm.
but it's more about maybe the instincts or the way you lead people that works, not any particular side. But still, you need to understand many different theories, many different books, and teachers that teach you, so that you can have a comprehensive overview, that you use the best technique at the best time with the right way.
Yeah. I loved how you in the book, at many instances in the book, you have talked about action. You said all this is good, but reading hundreds of books is good, but you talk about action a lot, because otherwise, I mean, what's the point of having so many books in your head, and kind of having too much information? You talk about action, and but this was a side note, but I really wanted to know about this concept that you talk about in the book called Sisu. I hope
Mhm.
I'm pronouncing it right.
Very
Uh,
well. That was well.
but I loved it that because would you like to share something more about this, and how is it applicable in perhaps daily life as well? Because most of us are just stuck in daily life. We are just trying to make ends meet and kind of do well with our family, with our job, and we are in a kind of circle which never ends. So, would you like to share more about that?
Yeah. Yeah, Sisu is a Finnish word. It's about a lot about resilience. It basically comes from the war times, the Second World War, when Finland was fighting against Soviet Union. Those kind of moments where it's minus 30 degrees outside, you are on your skis, the opponent is super strong, but you still like just push through. And the difference between sisu and resilience in a way is that it still can be gentle, so you can still have emotions, so it's not just pushing through hard rocks, but it's kind of at the same time understanding the situation and being honest, but still deciding to do that. And in martial arts, there are many moments where you might be in a situation where the opponent is super strong and maybe you are in a headlock or something. And in that moment, you just need to kind of understand that the first step is not to win, but is to survive. And that's when you kind of need that sisu inside of you, the resilience to kind of push forward, even if you don't know the path forward. You understand that you just have to survive and then enhance the situation. In leadership and leading businesses, it comes to the same many times, that it's not like winning one deal is great, but it's not saving the company for long term. So you need to have that kind of mindset that regardless of the situation, you're just going to push forward and survive. And many times, when again kind of why I wanted to bring the sisu in the book is to understand the difference between just resilience or working hard might sometimes be too hard for yourself as well. And with Sisu is still kind of admitting that I might not survive, but I'm still going to do the best. I'm not giving up because there can be a better future. And it's not, again, about the hardship or hardness in yourself. It's more about kind of understanding it, being honest to yourself, and still deciding to act and move forward and not looking at the outcome, just doing your best. So it's not related even to the situation that will you win or not. It's more about that you just in that moment push everything that you have. Don't give in too easily. Just make everything better step by step, and that's then the core of Sisu there.
This is the single best advice I have gotten in a long time, because we get worried. I mean, I guess we are just made that way, especially in business. Once a quarter goes bad, we everybody's panicking, right? Everybody's panicking. Like, what's the future going to be like? um, I know I've read in the book there have been instances with you as well, when when you were at crossroads and had to make hard decisions for other companies, for your endeavors as well. Anything that comes to mind where kind of this thought process or this helped you get through, or maybe you didn't know the term then, but you got through nonetheless.
Yeah, but I mean, many times, I mean, we tend to, and I as well tend to worry about the outcome a lot. So when we are making a hard decision, so let's say I use this as an example when I have had the hard situation of laying off people, for instance. So when I'm in that moment, so it could be dealt with, which I did in the beginning, was that okay, it's best for the company. Let's do it that way, and then see what happens. And then I went to kind of nowadays when I've lately done that. So I've been thinking, okay, I have this person who's losing the job, so I'm actually doubting myself before the decision, that is this the right call, and really kind of digging into my own feelings, and sometimes even crying before the meeting, so that I understand the emotions, and still if after those I decide to move forward, so then I know that this is the right call, again regardless of the outcome. So here's the difference with many things is that we, of course, we all want to make the best decisions. I'm not saying that we shouldn't think of that way, but we, if we forget to deal with our own kind of emotions strongly enough before the decision, we might be then decide later on that that was a mistake. But even if that was a mistake, we can live with that and continue, and we are not blaming on the situation, just moving forward. So here's maybe something that we tend to, as leaders, carry those bad decisions, with, which mean actually bad outcomes. And that brings us down from our kind of when we are climbing the stairs up. So that brings us down because we worry, I shouldn't have done that mistake. We don't own our actions in a way that we could. And understand that based on the situation where at that time this decision was the best we could do, that then and based on Sisu or the resilience, we will find another way to move forward. So we are not seeing only one path; we are seeing opportunities. And end up in a dead road, a dead end in the road. So we still understand that we just need to change the course, and that's then important for us. And again, when we go to a fight, so all the full contact fighters get hit in the fight. There's not a single fighter in the world who's never got hit, and nobody wants to get hit. But still,
Mhm.
there are some who win the fight. So when I've fought about 100 fights, so I won maybe about 80 of them. I lost 20, but still I get back there, and each fight I got punched in my face or something. So again, it just needs to move forward with that and understand what you're looking for. So understanding your core, and just go back and try again, regardless of the outcome. You just need to let go of the decision and move forward.
Yeah. I loved when you had mentioned that in the book that you lost a fight and immediately you had to make a comeback because there was another fight in a couple of hours, I think so, and
Yeah.
you have to come back and you won. But props to that. I mean, to make a comeback so quick, it's so easy, and that's where I feel that I love the book and what you have done in the fighting side of you. I think so, contributed a lot of your learnings. Just amazing. Um, there's one chapter where you talk about jujitsu leadership and AI, and it has hit us like it's a storm right now. It's a juggernaut. So, what's your opinion on this? Because there's a lot of churn happening across the globe. It's be it any corner. I mean, in India, we are still kind of figuring it out in terms of startups. We are there, but we are slightly behind the ball right now. But what do you think about this? You have written it in the middle of the storm that we all are facing. So, do tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So the example of martial arts when Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came, so it was like early 90s when it became very popular, and you had these mixed martial arts tournaments, and suddenly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu won everything. So we were thinking, or maybe I as a fan as well, that hey, maybe boxing or kickboxing is strong or something. So we kind of had that maybe Karate Kid way of seeing that the stand-up fighting was the really great, and they look strong and good. And then if you were fighting somebody, it felt bad that, oh, if they're good in stand-up fighting, so you'll win. And then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came, and one of my good friends, so he was living in Brazil for 1 year, and then we were training together, and he beat me every time. When I could kind of punch him in the face, but then we went to the ground and he won me, and I was like, why is this happening? And there was kind of felt unfair that I've been training harder, I was better, but I lost. I felt that way. To me, the AI is the same, that we're in the situation that all the kind of old traditional way of leading businesses and what we have understood are now changing. Suddenly, you have a tool that can do all these things, these kind of repetitive things. You can even spar with strategy and get all the information in the world to you to be used. And then it has applications that can help your business. So for instance, with the vending, intelligent vending, we were using data from customers, and suddenly we just could put all the data, that customers purchase data, and look weather data to kind of day data, and combine with other data. So for hotels, for instance, what kind of guests they have. Suddenly we have a tool that can make this all, and you can just ask questions that does it matter that if it's Friday evening, or does it matter if it's a hot day? And then it kind of looks at the data and says, yeah, actually it matters for the sale of beverages when it's a hot day. We could have come up with that easily. Or if it's a Friday night and there's a concert, so people come at night to buy things. So suddenly we could ask all these questions, and that can change the whole business model from like when vending industry, very traditional, should normally would be that, hey, we put certain items in there, we come back in a week and see what was sold and replay. So we might have got a good deal to buy some, I don't know, Pepsi cans and just put them in there so that we make more money, where suddenly it's more demand based, and we can predict the demand, and understand that maybe this week Pepsi will sell, but next week put something else. So,
Wow.
so to me, we are in this kind of crossroad to understand that the traditional thinking and all the questions that maybe startups often have, and fresh minds have. So maybe more of our seasoned leaders, we need to understand that these tools are not going anywhere. Coming from Finland, so I don't know, Nokia phones were there, and I remember the time when I was thinking that should I even have a phone with me constantly, and it was ridiculous to carry a phone. Nowadays we cannot manage without the phone. It's like the first thing that you look in the morning, and everything is in your phone. So we are in the same situation, that the AI is not going anywhere. We are using AI tools without even knowing that they're behind it. So my advice for the leaders is that just go full in there, learn and understand, talk with people, train with them, try with everything that you work with, because suddenly when you change your processes with AI, you will become a better leader.
Yeah.
You still can think as a person, and your
Mm.
value comes from your thoughts, but these tools enhance whatever you're doing. It will save your time, it will bring up new ideas constantly, new business models, and all these things. So to me, we are in a moment that all of us should just try. So I don't know, spend a couple of hours a day with different AI tools. So with that training, you will understand how the world will change.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it might not be useful in everything, but when it'll be useful for you in just one process, it might be a game changer. You never know.
Yes.
So trying it out is a no-brainer, to be honest. And yeah, such a valuable lesson from the book as well. There's something which was which really bugs me sometimes, and that's uh, to most people try to achieve perfection before kind of shipping products, or and you've talked about this, you've talked about leadership and how to ship your products or whatever you are kind of is in the process, and you draw a parallel to ballet, and you have quoted someone who you had on the podcast as well, I think so. And
Mhm.
would you like to talk about what's your thought process about perfection? Because many of us are, obsessed with it.
Yeah, I mean it's a great goal, try to be perfect, but at the same time it's impossible. We never know what are the mistakes before we try. And I mean, if you look at from leadership, so again, if you have all the theories and you think, and then you try to lead people like that, they are still human beings and they have other troubles as well. So then it just doesn't go perfectly. So it's better to try and then learn and become better rather than aim for perfection before you go. So I use as a ballet, there's a ballet dancer who was the tallest ballerina actually in London. So she couldn't do the same things as the others did because she was just taller. But then she noticed that, okay, you still try to do everything as well as you can, which is kind of aiming for the perfection, but you still need to be yourself there and try. And many times, what happens to us, even with the book, so I mean, like I said in the beginning, that I've been writing it basically 10 years, or writing notes to me. But when is the perfect time to launch it? There is no such thing. All the time, the ideas get better. And when I have written it, so it becomes partly obsolete, I get new thoughts. But if I never publish it in the first place, so I cannot take the next step of development. And this is probably better for many of us, is to do it as well as we can today and do it anywhere so that we can become better tomorrow. Otherwise, we kind of paralyze ourselves to be that, well, okay, I still want to make this small nuance better, and we might miss the bigger picture of what's happening, and we don't even know what works. I mean, AI tools are great at this time. So I've been working with ChatGPT, I think, from version 2.5 or something. So it's
Yeah.
becoming better all the time. But what if I had started just now, so I wouldn't understand how to work with it in the beginning? So if I'm waiting for the perfect ChatGPT to come, or perfect AI tool, it's never going to come. I need to
Yeah.
kind of start and reflect and learn constantly. And that makes me better, rather than aiming for perfection. And
Yeah.
I understand, again, my weakness in many times is that I don't finish the projects, which is then kind of the perfect ending, that you finish the project. But I need to just understand and still do that and finish, even if it's maybe 90% good. And that gives better results than, again, trying to aiming for 100% good many times and just move forward. And yeah, tomorrow the perfect is different than today's perfect. So that's maybe a kind of a good thinking for all in the end.
Uh, I think this would be the first time that somebody has admitted in a book, at least, that they are not good at finishing projects. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so refreshing, because I also feel sometimes that I know how to kind of, set up everything. And it was so relatable on some levels that, you set up everything, but the final, yard, when you have to go for the goal, so as to say, there, it might not be someone's, positive, and maybe they can hand over, maybe they can pass on the ball to someone else. All those things I really loved in the book, and thanks for writing that, because it is so rare to kind of admit that you are not good at something. So, and not kind of being worried about it all the time, and just try to get help and get it done nonetheless.
Yeah.
Whatever one can do, it's just fine. Okay.
Yeah, but
uh,
the comment there that I'm sure that lots of people other than me knew that I'm not good at it. so,
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
all my, yeah,
I am one of those people. I'm one of those people who can set up everything, manage things. But when it comes to the judgment day, there are other people who are really good in my team, and all. So that is there. I
yeah.
was very happy by reading all of that, because I didn't know. I thought that I was the only one who was wondering at the end. But yeah, I loved that part. I loved that part. It was very honest and very refreshing. Okay. Since you're from Finland, we all in India are. I didn't want to ask this question because it might get me some, flack in the comments, perhaps. But we all are envious of the happiness that your country has. Okay. And we are at the other end. We are never happy with anything. We're never happy. We might have $1 million, but we're not happy. But so what's the key? What do you feel? What's your observation? Because you have grown up there. What's
Uh,
the key to this?
that's a very good question, and I think if you ask the Finns, so we are saying that hey, we are not happy. So how unhappy are the others?
Uh,
But I think it comes a lot from with equality and kind of like that everybody has equal opportunities. So we have, for instance, public school that everybody goes. So it doesn't matter like your background if you have money or not. So you go to the same school, you get the same education, and everybody has the same opportunity. And the same way the universities are free of charge for everybody. Again, there's like no fast track. Even if you have money, you cannot even skip a class if you're super smart. So I think that kind of brings the kind of the level of equality from the start. And then when everybody's equal, so so basically the happiness is also equal. So there are no people who are feeling waivers. Of course in real life there are, but I mean that kind of comes from that, and like valuing everybody from there. Then we have a lot of nature, so we have like I mean the school and everything, the work has a work life balance. So we tend to work from 8 to 4, and then like nobody works for 8 to 7 unless you're an entrepreneur or something. So you have life, you value your family and everything. So kind of the value of life comes from with the good balance in Finland. And then the social welfare is providing with those to those people who are not having it off well off as the others. So kind of those start to kind of pay back in a lot of ways. You have clean air here, clean nature, not too crowded. So I know India might be a different. So if you love the solitude, so in Finland you can go to a forest and there's nobody miles apart from you. So kind of like you can really be alone if you want to.
yeah.
So all these things kind of start to pay back. So again, there's not a single trick. It's maybe more understanding the comprehensive of life and building it on all these things together, and then you become kind of as a nation maybe the happiest in the world.
Yeah. I'm pretty certain this is a completely different podcast, and I would love to have that chat as well. I this could be a 1 hour thing, because
Yeah,
it's such a marked difference in how a couple of countries can be at the other end of the horizon. So we are just going crazy with everything. So I am very happy to know, although I am in a very good state and a city which is very close to nature, and
yeah,
I'm here by choice because I love nature. But most of India doesn't have that luxury, so I feel bad. I mean, but anyways, love to know that we would love to learn from that model,
yeah.
nonetheless. So yeah,
Happy to join if there's somebody who wants to talk or you want to do another podcast. Happy to talk about those things. I mean, it opens us up the eyes the same way as maybe the book or something, when you understand that okay, here's the difference, and then you can start living more or less with that. For instance, I mean, coming being half Sri Lankan, so I'm cooking breakfast for my kids in the morning, taking them like the school, saying they hi. They all sit in the same table, all the cousins, and so we are serving the kids. And I remember when I was in Sri Lanka, so I would sit with my uncle and not even talk to my cousins because the uncle was the head of that family. So if I was visiting there, so totally these different things. So the kids can come
yeah,
talk to anybody, and the equality starts from there as well. So kind of those kind of start to pile up in the long run. Even the teachers are asking to the kind of the students at school that okay, how do you feel, rather than saying that no, you need to learn from me. So we are
yeah,
kind of trying to find a balance with everybody. So I think that's the start of
yeah.
everything.
That's incredible. And you have seen it all. I mean, for till what age were you in Sri Lanka, or you
So,
visit?
no, I've visited there like 10 times, and
Okay,
half a year of my life I spent there. I think the longest period is like 6 weeks in a row. So I never leave there. So
okay.
cannot fully, but I see it from the kind of the outsider who's
Yes.
inside indoors. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. That podcast should happen, and will happen, I think so, and it would be really amazing. But yeah, thank you so much, Aslak, for writing this book. Loved it, and it's really a new concept. And I hope you keep on writing such books in the future as well. It's called The Black Belt in Leadership, and a cool name, uh, and of course, a cool book. Do guys, whoever is listening or watching, do read the book. Leave your comment on Amazon. I believe, is the book in stores as well in Europe or somewhere?
Well, actually, the main market is the US, so it's in Barnes and Nobles and other stores, and then yeah,
Okay.
web shops of course. But yeah, but I mean, there's a team working on getting it to the libraries and other stores as well. But yeah, it's a huge globe to kind of get it to all the stores. But yeah, on Amazon and other web stores, you can find it for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think so. This book would be so good for youngsters as well and kids, because a lot of them would be encouraged to get off their smartphones and get into martial arts, and then later on in leadership roles are there in school as well. So why
Yeah.
not? So
And I mean, my parents were super worried when I was fighting in martial arts and saying that that's not a smart thing at all. So they were against it. So I hope this also gives the parents and the youngsters as well that regardless of what you were doing, so it can be beneficial. And here I'm trying to build the segue that whatever you learned in life can actually be applicable in a leadership position when you use it smartly. And there are other crossovers with other people. So maybe to bring the hope that whatever you've done before, you can it can be your strength in the future.
yeah, guys, do leave a comment with your review, or leave a review on Amazon. That would help the author. And leave your
Yes.
comments about this podcast, this conversation. Slack is, of course, available on Instagram. You can reach out to him, and LinkedIn as well. He has a website also. I leave the link, so that's there. And yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast, and being, talking about this wonderful book. Yeah, and I'm not kidding. I have started boxing with my kids now, so I am so inspired. They
Very
are
good.
not having a good time. They are not having a good time, though. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Rohan, for having me here. I really appreciate it.